46 days, cut off, starving, and under constant fire. Yet a tiny garrison at Chitral held out against thousands. Why didn't the siege break them sooner? And what price did they pay to endure it?
It's 2:20 a.m. I'm still buried in the Himalayan Club Journals, century-old field notes from the Himalayas. It's like diving deep into the documented history of the Himalayas from the early 1900s. The journals cover everything, from indigenous wisdom, cultural myths, to epic expeditions and groundbreaking discoveries. These forgotten stories are brought to life by synthetic voices in the Himalayan Journals podcast. Subscribe, zone out, binge, and pass it to a fellow mountain junkie.
How did a small garrison in Chitral endure 46 days under siege, and why did the attack not break them sooner? The story began after the murder of Nizam-ul-Mulk. Amir-ul-Mulk seized the mettership, but Colonel B.E.M. Girdon, political representative of the government of India, refused to recognize him. On 7th January 1895, a detachment of 50 Sikhs under Subadar Gurmukh Singh arrived from Mastuj. For 10 days, Girdon supervised payments for supplies and received visitors, including Amir-ul-Mulk, who appeared with the Kalash Kafir who had fired the fatal shot. Girdon tolerated the visits for the sake of provisions. He knew Mr. George Robertson had started from Gilgit to assist him, and he pressed on with collecting stores. On 22nd January, Girdon heard that Umra Khan had crossed the Lawari Pass with a Lashkar of between 3,000 and 4,000 men. The next day, Umra Khan burnt the Kalash Kafir village of Utsun, 5 miles below Drosh. On 25th January, a skirmish in front of Drosh Fort left about 30 Chitralis killed or wounded, and the fort came under siege. On the 29th of January, Mr. Robertson directed Girdon to retire if an attack on Chitral Fort seemed imminent. On 31st January, Robertson arrived at Chitral with Captains Colin Campbell and C.V.F. Townshend, 150 men of the 4th Kashmir Rifles, Captain Whitchurch, and Lieutenant H.K. Harley, with about 40 of the 14th Sikhs. That day, Amir-ul-Mulk, with several hundred Chitralis, held the Gahirat Darband 16 miles below Chitral. Umra Khan besieged Drosh. The attitude of the Afghan Amir became crucial. Girdon, supported by Jemadar Rab Nawaz Khan, feared the return of Sher Afzal. Information from Mr. Udney in the Afghan commander-in-chief's camp was restricted. Rab Nawaz Khan, long resident in the country and later grievously wounded on the 3rd of March, remained Girdon's most reliable source. Soon Drosh Fort surrendered, and 200 Snyder rifles passed to Umra Khan. It was calculated that only about 200 of the 700 rifles formerly issued to Aman-ul-Mulk now remained with the Chitralis. On 15th February, Townshend occupied the Gahirat blockhouse on the left bank of the river, while Girdon joined Chitralis on the right bank. On the 18th of February, he rode down valley to reconnoiter near a winter bridge opposite Drosh. Jandali riflemen opened fire from a knoll above the Shishi Ku. He and his party escaped unhurt. Robertson took possession of Chitral Fort, the only position with secure access to water. On the 20th of February, Captain J. MacD. Baird and 100 more Kashmir rifles arrived. On 22nd February, a report stated that Sher Afzal had reached Drosh. An Afghan envoy demanded that the British withdraw to Mastuj. Robertson refused. On the night of 27th February, Robertson decided to withdraw from Gahirat and Ayun. His escort stood at 377 rifles, including 80 of the 14th Sikhs and 297 of the 4th Kashmir Rifles. By the evening of the 1st of March, all were inside Chitral fort, though some food stores were abandoned. On the 2nd of March, Amir-ul-Mulk was set aside and placed under restraint. Shuja-ul-Mulk, his younger brother, was conditionally recognized. At the Durbar, the Kalash Kafir, who had shot Nizam-ul-Mulk, was executed. On the 3rd of March came a disastrous fight. Girdon attributed failure to a lack of clear plan, underestimation of the enemy, inferior arms and training of the Kashmir infantry, and divided control. Captain Baird crossed a ravine toward hostile riflemen and was mortally wounded. Captain Whitchurch carried him out under fire. Darkness saved the remnants. Casualties were 25 killed, including Baird, and 30 wounded out of 200 engaged. The siege began that day and lasted until the 19th of April. Only twice did the enemy cause serious loss. The firing of the gun tower on 7th April, when Robertson was wounded, and the mining of the same tower on 17th April, which forced Harley's sortie and cost 21 casualties out of 100. The investment drew close. A great sangar rose 20 yards from the main gate. A summer house in the rear garden stood 40 yards away and served as the start of a mine. Not more than about 83 Sikhs were fit for work. 2 7-pounder guns without proper sights proved of little use. Rations fell to half. Flour was gritty. Pony meat supplemented the diet. Sleep was short. Through all of it, Whitchurch tended more than 60 wounded with a single hospital assistant. Late on the 18th of April, news came of the flight of Sher Afzal and the Bajari Khans. On the 19th of April, a detachment moved out. Traders from the bazaar brought gifts. On the 20th of April, Colonel Kelly's force arrived from Gilgit. Girdon later met General Gatacre's brigade near the Lawari. On the 16th of May, Sir Robert Lowe reached Chitral. A review impressed the people, and Amir-ul-Mulk was handed over for deportation. Peace brought arrangements that were later confirmed on the 2nd of September 1895. The new political agency of Dir, Swat, and Chitral was formed with headquarters at Malakand. Shuja-ul-Mulk was installed as Mehtar of the Kator districts. The Kushwakt districts of Mastuj and Laspur were placed under governors responsible to the Kashmir Darbar, and the Kushwakt districts east of the Shandur remained under similar governors with Gilgit. A council of 3 advisors supported Shuja-ul-Mulk. On the 4th of September, orders fixed the garrison for Chitral territory, 2 Indian infantry battalions, 1 company of Bengal sappers and miners, and 1 section of a mountain battery with 2 guns.